Hello and welcome to a new tutorial series. My name is Tobal and this is Atlas. Atlas has just gone live tonight and we are in the middle of it here. Now I have started on a lawless island. I'm going to pull up the Atlas here under the inventory and you'll see that I'm on the North America PvE server, which is called the Hydra's Den. Now I've just randomly picked a random kind of island or a random little tile there, but it is one of the lawless regions. So in particular, I am in the, let's see, L9. Of this little tutorial series, I'm going to be in the L9 map. This is one of those tiles that you can pick at the start of the game. This tutorial series is just going to, this video of the series is going to be just about the basics of the game. I want you to get started and be able to survive, eat some food, drink some water, get yourself some things crafted, and we'll talk about a couple menu options that might be useful to you. So right off the bat, there's a little bit more. Now this game does have its roots in Ark, so you're going to see a lot of similarities, especially the health down there in the bottom right hand corner, your stamina, your hunger and water needs, but you'll see something new. You'll see a blue, it looks like a couple different colors there, blue, orange and purple and yellow. Those are your vitamin levels, and it's basically kind of, think of it like nutrition. You don't want to eat too much of one thing. If you eat too much meat, the purple bar will go up too high, and you'll actually get food poisoning of a sort. You basically get vitamin overdose, and so you'll wind up eating too much meat and dying from it. This person has decided to pick on the scary-looking giraffe, so I wish him the best. So every game, I don't like snakes. Every region that you get into in the game has different animals and different, I guess, flora here. So you're going to see different things. You might encounter giraffe like we are right here, and you may have different vegetables available on some islands compared to others. So just keep that in mind. If someone's referencing something, you may not have that available on your particular map because it's a different zone. I believe I happen to be in a tropical zone. I don't know if it tells you that. It doesn't look like it does. But I am in actually kind of a tropical zone right now, so this is more of a foresty, tropical area. So I'm not going to see the same things as you might find, say, in the desert tiles. So what else do we see in here on the UI that's different? In the bottom right-hand corner, I currently have a buff, and it has a little box, and it says XP. When you first start a new character, you have about a 500-second XP boost. So the first thing that I would recommend is you jump in here, and you just start collecting as much as possible. You can press E here. I'm actually just spamming E to pick up any of the, especially these plants that are growing out of the ground. You'll actually start to get some fiber, and it looks like cilantro in this case. And I would just kind of hit E as you go up to some trees, maybe some smaller trees like a twig or something like that. Not a twig, but right here. This looks like a pretty basic wood tree. Oh, I can't even hit this tree. This looks to be like part of a different one, maybe. Okay, let's go smack a big tree instead. What about you? Can I hit you? I'm actually locked on accident. By the way, this game has a lock-on feature that's new from Ark. If you hold down the left or press the left alt key, you will lock onto someone. So if you accidentally one time find yourself strafing around and you've got a big target on someone's back, press left alt to disengage that. Or, if you do want to track something, press left alt and you will lock onto it. So you can actually fight around it, basically, and it helps you stay locked onto your target. I will say it's nice at this stage in the server development because there are a few bugs in the game. There's, I wouldn't say bugs, well, there are bugs for sure, but there are some weird behaviors and some lagginess when it comes to the animals and how they interact with you. So I'm punching the tree here for a bit, and you'll see that I'm getting resources in the left side below the chat. I'm getting fronds, and eventually, if I punch long enough, I'll get some wood. Okay, so I'm continuing to punch things. You'll see here in the bottom right-hand corner, though, that is actually damaging my health because, well, basically I'm breaking my fist against a tree. So what I want to do is I want to keep doing this until I have a level up. And in fact, I do have one level up at least. When you have a level up, your bar will be completely filled, and these traits, or stats rather, will be flashing. So what you have to do is select one of these to put your point into. So let's say we want to increase our health. Boom, we've unlocked our health. Now, it's no longer flashing, but we do have a skill point. We actually have 2 skill points available from going from level 1 to level 2. I'm going to pick these two first things under the survivalism tree, the basics and tools of the trade. So this, if you hover over any of these items, by the way, it tells you what you get. So in this case, I actually get skills or craftables, and it unlocks the ability to put points into the follow-up trees. But I would recommend, if you're just starting out the game, especially if you're playing by yourself, go ahead and pick up the basics and tools of the trade. This lets you build a spear, which you're going to use to defend yourself and fight. And the basics is a lot of other things, like a campfire and a simple bed. So the other most important thing we want to start looking at is your food and water, because that is, for some reason right now, and they may not have it balanced just right, but food and water, especially food, goes down very, very quickly. And a lot of people are finding the balance with food, and especially the nutrition part of the game, very challenging right now. So if you need to drink water, well, let's look around at the map. Remember that we're playing in a game that has oceans all around us, so that's all salt water, and you can't drink that. So the way you find water is you lay down prone by pressing X. You normally have to be on a grassy area. So we're going to press X, and I'm going to try to hit the left mouse button. So if you look down there at the bottom, you'll see that a little slider bar came up right there. What you want to do is press left mouse again and stop the red bar inside of the white area. Right there, boom. We got it once. And what your character is doing is they're basically trying to dig for fresh water. And sure enough, our character has basically dug down and found a little mini spring of water. So now that that's there, you can walk up and press E to drink your water. So that's how you can stay hydrated. And once you find that out, it's actually really easy to do. Now sometimes you might find an area that says water is depleted in this area. You see that at the top there? So you'll just run away a little bit. Just move a little bit away from where you are and try to look for more water. You may have to do that a couple times, but eventually you'll get a little bit more water. This looks like some wheat up here. Let's take a look, because you always want to look for items that are farm items, especially. What is all this? We've got straw here. Now I might need a tool to harvest this. I am getting some acai from these as well. I don't know what acai is offhand. It looks like it's some kind of fruit. Now this area, this is a tropical map. This has a lot of vegetables, which offers me a lot of vitamin choices as opposed to just having meat. So if I look at my inventory, so we talked about how to find water. Let's talk about food. So you have an overall hunger bar here. It's the little stomach icon. What is inside of that stomach is what's also important. If you overdose on any of these vitamins, you actually will wind up going into a state of overdose, and you'll start losing health. So each of the types of food represents a color on that bar. So if I eat and I consume this coconut, for example, let's go ahead and press E on this to consume it. You'll see that the up arrow is on the green bar, which means that's going up. I've actually gained a little bit of nutrition in that category. So you want to mix and match what you're eating. And now some regions that's going to be very hard, because all you're going to find is meat, because there's lots of animals, and maybe you'll only have like strawberries or something like that. So you really have to work on finding a good balance between the meat, which is normally fairly plentiful, and the veggies. So we have gathered enough to get veggies. Let's take a look at, oh, that's a macaw up there. I can hear it talking to us. Let's take a look at our crafting. So remember that when I unlocked level 2, I got 2 skill points, which I put into the basics and tools of the trade. So these are all of the skills that I know. If you hover over these, they will tell you what they need to craft them. And some of them, none of these right now do, but sometimes you'll have an item that you can't craft until you have something else, like a station or a workbench or a smithy, for example. So if you hover over an item, it'll say requires smithy or only can be constructed at a smithy. So if you're looking under your inventory, this is actually where you do your crafting at, is under the main inventory tab. So if you recently unlocked something but you can't see it in your inventory here, check the skills page, try to find that item in your big list here, and then hover over it, and it'll tell you what you need to have in order to craft that item. So we want to craft a spear to go fight some things. Well, we don't have any flint, and we need more wood. Well, let's see if there's a better way to get flint and wood. And sure enough, a stone pick and a hatchet were going to help us out in that regards. So a hatchet needs flint as well, but a stone pick is something that can probably get us more flint. So I'm going to double click on that and add it to my queue. This is going to be constructed and it's going to appear in our main inventory, so I'm just going to drag it down into one of our hotbar slots here. There is a bit of a weird timer here until you can actually equip the weapon. Waiting for it, and there it is. So now that it's equipped, I'm going to start trying to beat up some rocks here that I apparently can't. Now, some rocks are part of the terrain, so you can't mine them for resources. And so you'll just be swinging and nothing's going to happen. This one is actually something that I can get resources from. And apparently yell and make loud noises. I have wonderful orange hair, by the way. Okay. So if we go back into our inventory, we've been picking up some stone, but also some chalicidony. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. So this is a type of a flint resource. So they're going to be named different things. If you go to one region, you might have something that's completely different from this name, but it's still a flint resource. All this really means is that we have 9 flint at this moment. So if we go back to our crafting screen here, we actually can see that we now are able to make the hatchet. Let's queue that up. And again, I'll put that into my hotbar down here. Perfect. Let's go beat up a tree with the pickaxe. Now, these two different tools will do different things. When you use your pickaxe on stone, it tends to try to give you more metals and flint than you would with your hatchet here. If you try to use your hatchet on a tree, you're going to get more wood than you would if you get your pick. If you're using your pickaxe, let's just keep doing this for a second. You see how I'm getting a lot of wood? I'm up to about 10 strong wood there. Now if I start using my pickaxe, I'll actually start getting thatch. And I think fronds is just a type of thatch. Let's take a look here. And sure enough, fronds is a type of thatch resource. Again, you're seeing up in the little tooltip there, it says fronds/thatch. So really, this is just thatch that we're getting from the tree. Ooh, you're pretty. I don't think I can get you just yet. So let's go back to our inventory. Now we see a bunch of things that are craftable. So we want a spear to defend ourselves. We also want to be able to cook any meat we find, so I'm going to craft the campfire as well. Okay, so our spear is built. Let's go ahead and put that in our inventory. Now the thing about spears is that they can break in the middle of your fight, so I actually probably want to craft a couple of them. So I need a little bit more flint and a little bit more wood. Let's go grab that real quick. Wood is hatchet. And as soon as we get a little bit more wood here, and we're going to find a rock, smack it with our pickaxe for a moment. Okay, that should be good. And let's go ahead and craft. If we right click on it, you normally can see if you're able to craft more than one, you could actually do a craft all. But it looks like we only have enough resources to make one more. That's fine. We'll just keep one spare in our inventory. Now when you have these equipped in your toolbar, you can see how many of the thing you're carrying by the number 2 here. So this means we have ×2 spears down here in our hotbar. Alright, let's go find something to kill. And I don't want to kill birds because I just feel bad about that. But maybe one of these animals down here on the lowlands. What does that look like? A squirrel or a monkey of some sort? Is that a scorpion? It's a wild male monkey. So when you have a spear, you can either make a melee attack with a left click, or you can right click and hold to draw back your spear to throw it. Now that's a bit more challenging, and if you want to cancel your throw, you can press the number 3 again, or whatever number you have your spear assigned to, and you'll bring it back down. Let's cheat a bit. Let's see if we can use the lock on plus the number 3. Oh, it actually takes that aiming away. I was wondering if that was going to hold it. Let's see if we can shoot this monkey right up the butt here. Looked like it was a good shot, but for some reason none of the damage took. Let's just go ahead and start attacking it manually. Okay, so we're doing about 22 damage per hit, and then boom, the monkey's down. So now that he's down, I'm going to take out one of my tools for harvesting. I'm going to use my pickaxe, And the pickaxe tends to get you more meat than the hatchet would. The hatchet would get you more skin. Okay, now what about this boar over here? I think this is going to be a bit too high level for us at the moment. What level are you? You're level 5 female pig. Well, we could try it. If we don't... Now, this is another important thing. If you ever start getting attacked, by something that you don't want to fight, you can always run away. And I find that running into the water helps lose the aggro. So I'm going to start fighting this pig. And hopefully my spear won't break. It broke on the last attack. But it looks like we were able to get one of our other spares here. So now that we're actually literally stuck inside the pig, we have to harvest ourselves out of it. I'm going to use the hatchet this time because I want to get a little bit of extra fur, bone, and pelts along with a little bit of meat. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of fur. I'm going to switch over to my pick and try to get the rest of the resources out as meat. It doesn't always work that way, but you tend to get more of meat when you use the pickaxe, more of skin and hide when you use the hatchet. Alright, so now we have a bunch of raw meat and the other resources that we got from it. We also, remember, built that campfire. So I'm going to drag the campfire into our inventory. And I'm going to go over here somewhere that looks okay. There's no snakes right here, right? The bears right now in the game seem to be passive, so I'm not too worried about that bear. So I've pressed the number 4 one time, and it brings up the blueprint of the item so you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. I'm going to press left click once, and that's going to build it. Now you have about 30 seconds or less sometimes when you first build something. You can actually pick it back up. So it's kind of like if you played Ark with the S Plus mod, it's kind of like the pickup option. The problem is that when that quick pickup timer is gone, you cannot pick up this up anymore. So you really want to make sure you get your stuff where you want it. Otherwise, you'll have to demolish it later. Okay, so we have our campfire. We have some raw meat. One quick way to get into the campfire's inventory is to look at it and press F, and you'll see we're inside of the inventory of the campfire. So I'm going to shift left click on my stack of wood, and that's going to split it in half. I'll do that again. So I'm mixing them together. So if I just left click and drag, I move the entire stack. But if I shift left click, I'm actually splitting the stack in half. I'm shaking right now because I think a bear is walking right next to me, and it's making the ground shake. Okay, so we've dragged the wood over. Let's go ahead and drag the raw meat over as well, and then we'll light the fire. So your campfire is going to be cooking for a bit. What is so big behind us? Yeah, it's the bull, and it's whatever this. What are you? Are you just a giraffe or a... Okay, so it's just a giraffe. It just looks very unique. Let's press F again. Now, while your fire is cooking, it normally cooks at a rate of 1 piece of raw meat at about every 15 to 20 seconds. You can also tell that your meat is spoiling by this green bar here on the bottom. I believe that's the green bar for spoilage. I'm pretty sure it is. So if you have something like raw meat or something that's spoilable, it will do that over time. Okay, so we have some cooked meat. Let's get 1 or 2 more pieces here. You also are generating some coal by burning wood in the fire in the first place. Alright, so we've got a couple pieces of meat. I'm going to drag those over to my inventory. And I want you to pay attention to a couple things here. Let me move this off because we can't quite see that pink very well. You can't really see it too well anywhere. Okay, so remember, we've already had a couple of, what was it? Was it cilantro that we had, I believe? So we had a little cilantro earlier. No, sorry, it was a green resource. So that green bar's up a little bit. Watch what happens when we start to consume meat. Now our hunger bar is going to get filled up. I'm going to eat both of these. The hunger bar starts to go up, but your purple bar starts to go up as well. This is your vitamin B. So right now you can see that we have a buff that says we basically are eating food, so we're getting I think it's regenerating your stamina faster after you've recently ate a meal. So here's the current nutritional loadout. We have a little bit higher vitamin B balance than we do the other vegetables, or the other vitamins rather. So it's a really interesting balance this time around compared to Ark. Ark, you just had to shove your face full of meat and you were good to go. In this one, in Atlas, you actually have to kind of find a fine balance between keeping yourself full and then mixing up what you eat. So since we haven't had any orange items yet, let's go ahead and have a bunch of berries here. Now, it does take quite a few berries for your vegetable or your bar here to go up with that vitamin. We'll go ahead and eat a little bit of everything we have. Yeah, and cilantro was the actual, this bar here, this yellowish greenish bar here. So both of those other nutritional bars are going up. It didn't do a whole lot for us in terms of our hunger. It did bring us up a notch, but what it really helped with is balancing out your nutritional value. I actually almost might have gone too high on the yellow. We'll see where this ends up at. Okay, the other thing we notice here is that we got a flashing bars again, the flashing stats. So again, we have to level up. So let's take a point in stamina this time. And by the way, what I'm doing by that is it's adding to your overall stat. So I just got 6 points in stamina when I chose that to level up. So again, we get 2 more points, skill points available. So the skill tree in Atlas is really, really involved. It's a lot different than Ark used to be with just unlocking engrams at random. Now everything is locked into these different trees. So for example, the construction and mercantilism tree is locked behind this skill here. If you actually purchase the construction skill, it will unlock the construction and mercantilism tree, which is right here. There's one for cooking as well. I think, is it Waterkeeper? Which one unlocks cooking? Here it is. And you can tell what these are and what the prerequisites are by the arrows. So if we wanted to work on cooking, we would have to get the Waterkeeper skill first. So that would be 1 point in Waterkeeper and 1 point in cooking and farming. So let's go ahead and just look at that. The other things you could look at as well. Now here's the thing. It's going to really depend on what you start the game with and where your local area, in terms of the resources, what your local area has around you. Because if you start with plenty of food options, well, then you might not have to rush any of the cooking requirements because you don't need to make any meals because you've got plenty of food around. Most of the time, now here's an example. The Smithy, if we're hovering over the advanced tools skill, the Smithy is one of the most important buildings in the game. It really gives a lot of building options. You can make a shovel, I believe you can make a sickle, a metal hatchet, a climbing, all these different tools that let you harvest at a better rate. However, to build the Smithy, you have to build it on a foundation, I believe. If that's still coming from Ark, I'm fairly sure that's the case. So if I'm incorrect, please do tell me. So if I were to just get advanced tools, I couldn't do anything with the Smithy at this point. I'd actually need to get some of the construction tree in order to build the basic foundations for a base. So let's go ahead and unlock construction here. I'll take a look at that tree. So now that we've unlocked the construction skill, that unlocked an entire tree for us. Now we have a bunch of new skills available. So if we take the basics of building, you can see over there on the right that would give us a bunch of items like the thatch wall, roof, floors, things like that. So we can go ahead and take that. And now, if we are looking at our skill menu, you see that we now have a bunch of new things like thatch wall, thatch roof, and things like that. All of these are craftable directly in our inventory, I believe. They don't need any... Nope, this one right here. So here, this one, the rope ladder and the portable rope ladder can be crafted at the loom. If you look at the tooltip on the left side, you can see there that it says it can be crafted at the loom. The loom is under weaving, which is under the basics of building. So you can see how these really start to chain together, and it can take quite a while if you really want a solo build. So it is kind of useful to pair up with someone, a friend, or someone that you randomly kind of run into. Now, you're going to meet a lot of people. Let's see if we could see anyone in our general direction. So there's someone across that little bay there who actually has a hut built. Let's go over there and just take a look at what they're doing. By the way, I think I also left some food behind. Oh, this is somebody else's fire. There's my fire. We'll grab our food. Oh, we don't have any food, but we'll take our coal. That's fine. I think I ate all the food, or it's spoiled. So let's go across this little bit of water and take a look at this guy's house. This is kind of a basic starter house because it's just, it looks like 2 by 2. It's got 2 tiles, 2 foundation wide by 2 foundations deep. It looks like he actually went off 1 more notch to add an extra little room. So this is kind of nice. It's just a little bit of a thatch. I think this is the window. Did he add a door? Did he forget the door? Maybe he just doesn't have a door right now. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. So his thatch door is locked. So your doors are locked once you build your base. He has a bed inside. A bed is something you can craft once you unlock one of these early skills. I think it's the basics. The bed lets you respawn at that location. Instead of respawning randomly on your map, you will respawn directly on your bed. So it's fairly useful to try to get that built pretty early. You can see he's actually having a little bit of weird angles issues here with some of the thatch roofing. So that's something you have to be careful of sometimes, is that it's this same old building system as it used to be in Ark, so it's a little bit of trouble putting things down. Okay, so we've got some of the basics. Real quick, let's reiterate the water hydration issue. I'm almost thirsty again. So can I get any water? It's depleted over here. Now again, there are a lot more tools, there's a lot more skills further down the tree in Atlas, but I want to get you a very, very basic guide on how to find some water, find some food, and prevent yourself from dying over and over and over again. The basics of the game are just give yourself food, water, smack a bunch of resources until you have enough to start building a small little base, and go from there. Okay, did I find any water? Go ahead and stand back up again. We're looking for a big spout of water, and sure enough, we got some water. I believe that the amount of water you get is based on how many times you successfully kind of do that little mini game where the bar is moving across the bottom of your screen. Water depleted here as well. But you saw that I got about 40 units of water, which brought me up about halfway on my hydration down there in the bottom right. So, yeah, the early part of Atlas right now, I almost said Rust, the early part of Atlas really is, getting the materials to build your base. This person, for example, didn't even bother putting a roof over their base because this is a PvE server. There's really no threat from other players. I think they just want to focus on getting a place to spawn at. They also built their smithy down here. This is their smithy, but it looks like we could possibly even use it because it's in the open. I'm not sure quite yet. Because when you first spawn in these areas, you can't put your territory down. I'm going to press F1. This is actually a territory claim flag. I believe this gives you, I don't know the radius yet, but it's more than likely going to give you kind of like a 10 by 10 radius or a 50 by 50 radius where no one else can build or touch the items in the radius of this flag. But we cannot place a claim flag while we're within this lawless region. So more than likely we need to find a boat or build a boat and take to the seas. Okay, the final thing I want to talk about is navigation. I'm going to press M here and bring up the in-game map and compass. So everyone starts with a family heirloom type of compass. It's a unique compass that everyone basically has. No, I don't want to mess with you, Mr. Rattlesnake. Peace out. So what I'm going to do is let this come back up so you can left click to zoom in on the map. This isn't exactly the best map in the world. It's more than likely going to be much more useful to you when you're on your boat and you're kind of floating between different islands. What is useful, though, is this compass. Now, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you see a bunch of useful tutorial tooltips. They tell you kind of how to use both the map and also the compass. So the compass is kind of hard to see right now, but if you right-click on it, it shows you which direction you're facing. So I'm facing east right now. So if I start walking this way, my little X on the map will start to move east across the island. So that's kind of a rough guide on how to pull up your compass. What I do is I just pull it up, right click. One other thing you could do if you want to remember a direction that you need to be going is middle mouse click, and it adds this kind of green indicator to your compass. A little harder to tell, but this basically says that, well, you made a marker to go east, and it looks like you've turned the wrong way. So you might want to turn back towards the green. You always want to have the green up at the point of your fingers there. Okay, so that was a little bit of the map. Now, also, if you want to get rid of those tooltips, the same thing here when we're in fighting mode. By the way, if you want to enter fighting mode, it's R to kind of put away or hide your weapon or your hands. We're in combat mode, and we're kind of in more of a passive mode. Also, when you're in combat mode, you can double tap your keys in order to dodge. That's a new feature of the arc system. We didn't have that, as far as I know, in any mods either. So that's kind of a new addition as well. If you want to get rid of the tooltips, by the way, in the upper left-hand corner, if you kind of, okay, I've got the tooltips, I understand, you can go to Escape Options under Advanced Settings here, and you can, I believe it's under, oh, something about tutorials. I had it here a while ago, Show Tutorial Hint Text, I believe, and there it goes. It disappeared off the top left corner of the screen. Okay, folks, so again, this was just a real quick tutorial video. I wanted to get enough, because a lot of people were, you know, when we were getting on the server, how do I get water? I mean, it really wasn't even explained as far as we could tell. How do I get water? How do I find food? What do these different colored bars mean? So the early part of the game really is about finding a good, safe resource to eat, finding a good source of water, and then starting to just level up. You'll want to probably get a bunch of spears. You do level up through crafting, but you do also level up through attacking and killing animals as well. So you can find a nice balance. If you want to fight and not be doing crafting all the time, you can definitely get a spear and go a little crazy with that. But do be careful about what type of animals you're attacking, because some of them will come back and kick your butt. Also be careful about aggressive animals. I believe, like, at the moment I've seen wolves. I think lions are also aggressive as well, but for some reason in this game bears are not. You also can, if you craft like 10 spears, you can kind of use them as a, you know, ranged resource to fight animals from far away. The giraffe actually looks a little bit weak. Oh god, so I completely got that one wrong, didn't I? But just keep in mind that you can use a good stockpile of ranged weapons in order to fight larger animals that you want to stay away from. And we're gonna have our champion of fighter here go hide in the water a bit, because for the most part, going into the water eventually loses the aggro on the animal you're trying to fight. Although in this case, the giraffe might be so damn tall that it's actually reaching the bottom of the water. Okay, there we go. We're a little bit on even ground here, or not. He's such a tall creature that he's actually able to reach the bottom of the ground. Either way, folks, I hope this tutorial was useful for you. Again, just a basic, real quick thing. I hope it wasn't too long. I'm going to put cuts in the video to kind of shortcuts to, you know, different areas that might be useful. So if you're looking at maybe how do I get some water, I'll put that in there under a certain section. Same thing included with food and maybe doing some hunting as well. The next couple of videos in this game are going to be focused on more advanced features, like what the different skill trees include, as well as, of course, we're playing this pirate game. We want to learn how to actually make a ship and go be a pirate. So the next couple of videos will be focused on that. And my own group and I and my own company we're kind of exploring as we go as well. So I do hope you're able to get into the game. Again, there are some issues with the server, so just give the team a little bit of patience, and they should be working on the bugs, especially with the connectivity bugs. But I will say, apart, you know, obviously there were some issues the last couple days on communication. All that aside, I have been very impressed. Wow, this giraffe is really pissed. I mean, we did stab it with a spear, but honestly, I will say I'm really impressed with the stability I've seen and the quality of the server. There was a little bit of rubber banding earlier in the night, but those have mostly been resolved by, I guess they patched the server a couple times. I think we're on like 4.1 right now. So they have patched the server, and things are looking a little bit better than they used to be. I'm going to have to log off here or stop the video soon, just because this giraffe is never going to stop fighting me. But I do hope to bring you a little bit more content soon. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way. If you want to go ahead and get more videos like this, I will be posting them in a playlist, so keep an eye on that. And I also will be including that information on Twitter, so keep an eye out for my Tobal Plays Twitter as well. Please have fun with Atlas. Boy, that was a reflex. I hope you do enjoy Atlas, though. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. If you want to see a certain type of video, let me know as well. Otherwise, I hope to see you in-game, not at the end of my canon, but maybe we could meet in peace, right? Also, don't piss off the giraffe, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.